I was going to ask you, I want to hear about your referral. I think you referred to it earlier as like your referral machine, like your company's ability to take not only close deals, but keep the relationship and manage the relationship to kind of get referrals, but doing it in a standardized way, which is what I think a lot of people struggle with, is doing it in a standardized and consistent way so that you expect these referrals, because a lot of the people that are hammering the doors and that are some of the best door knockers, that's one of the things they struggle with, is building that referral machine, because then they're always on the doors, otherwise they're not making any money. What do you think is the key or the tips that you have for someone who they don't feel like they're getting as many referrals as they should be?
Stay in one area longer.
That's just like Jake Hess told me in a podcast. Gosh, man, time really does fly. I was like, earlier this week, it had to be a few weeks ago. He was telling me that he spent 2 years in one area and sell 700 deals in the one little city rather than the people that go every single different place. But that's your number one recommendation?
Yeah. So when I was selling out in New York, I hunkered down in this little town called Schenectady. And there was this one street, and it had really well-established houses, pretty big houses on it. And everyone there was pretty wealthy. But what I found out in that area is everyone knew each other, especially the wealthy people were more connected than the other communities. And so I cracked the egg. I kept knocking the street. I got rejected. Then I got one. And then Vinny was like, well, go talk to so-and-so, go talk to so-and-so. And I went probably 3 months without having to knock doors because I was so busy with referrals. And New York is a little bit different than Arizona in that people have generational families there. People have stayed there for a long time. Arizona is a newer market, a newer state, and people here are more transient. They're in and out with work and stuff, but people there they know each other. Everyone's got a guy for everything. So I really dug into referrals hardcore there. And then when I came here to Arizona, I had to adapt because it was very different. But kind of like Jake Hess, I found a neighborhood and I got really smart with it. And it was a new build neighborhood. They were building brand new houses every single week. And I got to know the real estate agent who was in the closing office up at the front of the neighborhood. And I kept coming in there asking for floor plans. And he's like, hey, so what is it that you're doing? I'm like, I'm a solar guy. And he's like, well, how does that work? And he was spending 3 to 6 months getting these people credit approved to buy these houses. The houses were $100,000 to $150,000 at the time. And I just told him, I was like, hey man, every time you close a home, just let me know when that house closes and I'll just want to be the first person to be there. And so pretty soon he was closing homes using my name, kind of talking about solar and basically setting up the pitch for me. And I ended up selling on the last street of this development. They had, I think they had 45 homes. I'd have to go back and count, but they had 45 homes. I had 29 of those homes that had gone solar with me. In that little new build community, I had over 80 accounts just in that little neighborhood. And everybody knew me. I was the solar guy. I didn't lose a single one of my accounts that switched over to any other solar company. When I did this, I worked at a previous company and I won an award that quarter for having 100% of my leads transition to install, and nobody in the company had ever done that before. And any day I went out to go knock with my sales reps, they're like, dude, I feel like I go out and I knock doors and I feel like you go out and you sell solar, because 1 and 2 doors I'm creating a lead with, and those leads are signing up with me the next day. And it's because of the rapport I built in that community. Everybody knew me. I knew everyone's name. I knew everyone's story. I knew the influencers in the neighborhood. I knew the real estate agent that was closing all the homes with these people, and they had good experiences with him. He was dropping my name. I had solar signs out in the front of everyone's yard. We were so busy that we had a forklift that just permanently was parked in the end of their cul-de-sac. And I would just say, hey, sorry guys, this lift's out here. I just want you guys to know we'll be done. As soon as all these solar homes are done going solar, we're going to take that out. But we're just too busy. We're doing solar almost on a daily basis out here. We're just leaving that there. They're like, I wondered what that was for. And they're looking at the windows when they're coming home from work. They're seeing their neighbors going solar in the morning. They're seeing their neighbors going solar in the evening. And it just compounds and compounds. And anytime someone was considering going solar or even considering jumping off the train, their neighbors would pull them back in because they'd have these community barbecues and meetings. And anyway, I know I would not have had that success if I was just burning through that neighborhood and bouncing and bouncing and bouncing. So when I do door knocking and I'm tracking notes on these homes, when someone gives me a no that I think is just like my timing was wrong, I'll put a note in that house. And I went through and I made sure I knew every person's name that bought the home. I found a whole bunch of articles and information about their community, about things that were happening. I knew the name of their floor plan. I knew exactly what their square footage was. I knew their exact date that they moved in. And so I would approach these doors way differently than other sales reps were approaching these doors. And I had just an incredibly high success rate. And because they had high confidence working with me, it was super easy for me to ask them for referrals, and I would get referrals left and right. And my closing percentage was just through the roof. I think I went over 3 months without ever having a no, like at 100% closing rate for at least 3 months straight. I got lazy on. I remember the one house I got my first no on after a while, and I was annoyed at myself because I got lazy because I had such a track record. I knew I got lazy and overconfident in this house, and I blew it. And I was like, okay, I got to stay sharp. I can't just, these things aren't just flying in the door. Like, I'm doing something right to make these happen.
Being on such a hot streak though, where someone says no and you're like, what'd you say? Like, that's pretty incredible. You mentioned near the beginning of this chat about how you also are a fan of and participate with like kind of traditional networking and forming those relationships with potential referral partners. And like, that was just one example of a real estate agent that was working in this development. Can you give another example of like a great referral partner in a different industry that you had a lot of success partnering with them, and in the end, even though it wasn't a short-term return, in the long term, it did result in you getting a lot of business?
When you say different industry, what do you mean? Like
just someone other than a real estate agent. So just another example.
Well, just an example in a community a little bit further south of that, there was this preacher or pastor that everybody knew. And so he's the guy that you want to go sell first. So you link up with that guy. There was a sheriff in this one neighborhood. Everybody knew the sheriff. So again, you're going to go sell the sheriff first, and he's going to be your referral. When you knock on doors, you're like, hey, do you guys know Sheriff Joe down the street or whatever his name is? And then when people at the table have questions or whatever, you just let Sheriff Joe or whoever know, like, hey, if I ever call you and I'm sitting with a customer, I appreciate any help with that. And you just throw them a bone. Say, hey, every time you take a phone call for me, you get $50, whatever it is. You keep them involved in your process, and you help them feel ownership and engaged in what you're doing. And you're helping them feel like they're helping other people too, which they are. So connecting, we call those people connectors. Every community has connectors. There's people that everyone knows. So reach out to those people first. Another one is in senior communities, they have activity centers, and they have the community centers, and they have a calendar in there. And these people live in these retirement communities because they rely on entertainment being brought to them, or activities where they can come together and get social. So always go to those retirement centers and ask at the front desk, hey, can I get on the schedule to do a solar presentation? And sometimes old people trust these official solar presentations at the community center at a certain time, and they'll put it on their calendar, and you'll have like 15 to 20 of these old people show up that would never have answered the door to you or wouldn't have trusted you to come in, because now all their peers are there. They're all going to say yes to these things together. You're going to do this mass presentation, and then you're going to go to their home on an individual basis and be like, hey, Marlene just signed up, and hey, Pearl just signed up, and now they're all going to kind of do it together versus picking them off one by one, and they feel vulnerable. So those are just some approaches that are
interesting. I love that. It's the seminar approach, the pitching to everybody at once. But then once people start heading back towards the back table, there's everyone fear of missing out. Like, I have to get this too. And it causes the stampede that you sometimes see with a lot of those really good speakers.
And when you do those, bring to get them there. They love free stuff. So have like a $50 gas card certificate, and have like a really nice restaurant that's close to their community. And some things that they can win as a raffle afterwards. In order for them to participate in the raffle, when they come to the meeting, they have to put their name on the sign, or they have to sign in on the sign-in sheet with their name and address, so that you can follow up with those people after, and then they can participate in the raffle. Because if they didn't win something that week, and you're going to be on the calendar every single month, they're going to show up the next month. If they haven't gone solar yet, like, maybe I'll win something this week,
like almost like a bingo game. They're like, man, I've got to go next time to win.
Yeah.
And then you can, next time, maybe they'll even bring more friends. That's really fast. I mean, it's really smart, and it's simple. I mean, it's not like it's overly complicated. That's what I love about talking to people in the solar industry, is because in a way, solar is like, it's almost like the Wild West. There's not as many regulations and rules, and that's why a lot of people come to it. But there's a lack of like traditional business, ideas, and not many people are doing little things like that and presentations like that, or they don't view it as a good use of their time, when in reality, if it brings you one deal, let alone multiple or many, it can easily pay for itself. Do you believe in like traditional networking, like BNI and those types of networking groups? Have you done that in the past? Do you recommend that other people do that?
I personally haven't been a part of those groups, but I know they're super valuable. There's people in my company that get more than 50% of their solar deals from a local roofing company who's a buddy of his, and they all have networks of people that they know that they refer to each other for different services. So, I mean, I think that's super useful. I don't know if you've heard of agriscaping.
No.
Kyle? So agriscaping is where you basically live off of your land. You learn how to use your land to live off of, and you get as much produce off of, per square foot on your property as possible.
My wife would love that. She always talks about like, we should one day have a family commune.
Yeah. So there's a guy that was doing it so successfully in his backyard that he started having tours. And a wealthy dude came by and toured his backyard. He's like, hey, can you do this on a large scale? So they just built a 10-acre garden in the city close to us called Queen Creek Botanical Garden. And it's a 10 acres of agriscaping. They have people come walking through there all the time. And they have a business model where they'll teach people how to farm off of their own land. And Kyle, do you think those people would also appreciate solar?
I think so.
Yeah. And so we went and we spent some money having a relationship with them, sponsoring one of their gardens. We paid a lot of money to be a sponsor for one of their gardens. So we gave a large charitable donation to the garden, to help them do what they're doing. So it's a nonprofit, but the agriscaping is not a nonprofit. It's a for business. And we have a very similar customer base. People that want to do agriscaping are also going to want independence and self-reliance. And so solar is a part of that. So when we have, so we're going to put into our packets when we close a solar deal that people have a connection to reach out to this company to consider and look at agriscaping, and someone that can actually teach you how to do it. They can come do it for you. And then vice versa, their clients that are doing agriscaping are going to have material in their pamphlets that will lead them to Fusion Power, our company. So those are just some marketing opportunities that we can look for in the community. Like, hey, who has a customer base that's similar to the same buying morals that we have? And how can we find a way to partner with each other to help each other, share the product?
Yeah. And providing value to them. Right. And that's really what it's about. And not only that, but spending money and being a sponsor for them. I mean, that's something that reciprocity is a real thing. And if you're spending money, it's a significant amount of money, they're going to be appreciative and they're going to want to help you. That's one of the things with like social media that I think Solar Pros can do a better job of, is creating not necessarily that, but using social media to get referrals. A lot of people do it wrong, where they're trying to sell, and just like they go to these partnerships and they're trying to sell, like, hey, can you help me do this? Can you help me do this? Mm-hmm. And people want to help you, but a lot of times they don't know how. And then number two, you're asking like, hey, do you want solar? when a much easier question that's going to provide more value is, hey, do you know anyone who might benefit from lowering their electric bills? And forming it in the way of like you're looking for somebody is just very easy way to kind of start that referral conversation, rather than just posting, hey, $1,000 cash back, go solar now. Those types of posts always kind of crack me up because sometimes they work, but they don't usually work more than once.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for watching this clip from the Solar Growth Show. I greatly appreciate it. While you're here, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Every little thing helps my channel to grow, to help more people, and to make this industry a better place. So I appreciate you watching this, and remember, full clips or all clips and all episodes can be viewed right here on this YouTube channel. And then in addition to that, make sure to check out the Facebook group that we have over on Facebook, Solar Growth, and we get more value over there. So until next time, let's go out there and let's grow.